This is The Healthy Healer, where true voice is your medicine. This is where we help doctors and other healers navigate through the challenging times by learning from the best minds in the healing industry. Laugh, cry, and be surprised. It's entertainment, education, and inspiration so you can continue to be the unique and amazing healer you were destined to be. Welcome to humanity. Welcome to The Healthy Healer with Dr. Fred.
Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Fred, and welcome to another episode of The Healthy Healer. So after I do my podcast each week, I spend a little time actually doing a short based on what I discovered in the podcast. And I did a podcast earlier today with somebody who is amazing. Her name is Rachel Fiorentino. And for The Healthy Healer, which is the name of the podcast, it's a little surprising what her role is. So for sure, she is an RN and a BSN and does a lot of healing that way. Has worked in ICUs and NICUs and PICUs and hospitals and clinics, and presently works in an adolescent clinic in the daytime. But her real passion is in tarot reading, tarot card reading. And we had an amazing conversation about tarot cards and how long it's been, how long it's going to be before tarot cards are really accepted in the mainstream as being a healing art. So for me, she was able to do a tarot reading online, and I learned a lot about myself. I learned a little bit about who I am by the cards that got pulled from me. We did a 3-deck card and reading, and then we did a 3-card reading, and then we did another 3-card reading. So in my first reading, I learned that I was actually a little bit too intellectual and using my head a little too often with the swords. I had a 9 of swords and a 3 of swords. And I was leading with my brain and more than anything else. And it's true, I do spend a little bit too much time in my head, which I guess can be expected from a psychiatrist. But the mission at hand, or the vision at hand, is to take me into my heart. And that's why the Ace of Cups was there. Just asking me to listen to my heart a little more and to be aware of the fear or the caution of analysis paralysis that can happen when I go with my brain. So I found this to be exciting and really online with where I am today. And so I decided, let's do the next round. And the next round, I had 3 different characters that showed up in my reading. That was the devil, the hangman, and the high priestess. And it was all about really the Undoctor and who I am as an Undoctor, like really going into forced change and ridding myself of my ego and doing so for the higher good. Also getting the very true nature that I see things a little bit different than my colleagues and oftentimes my friends and maybe even you. But that this perspective is sound, even if it is unique. The High Priestess allows me to, or really asks me to pay attention to my intuition. And I do have an intuition. And that intuition is that mental illness and the whole narrative of mental illness can be transformed. And the time is now to do so. So I'm on the front edge of transforming that narrative of mental illness on a global scale. And the way I do that is by having people get that it's simply a conversation and one that is subject to full and total transformation in the process. So that's what I get. And I want to do more. I really want to get that self-actualization is the process that we're all after. And some of the work I've been doing with reading Carl Rogers and reading Irvin Yalom and doing some mindfulness meditation, I have really been headed in my own direction towards self-actualization with my own spiritual pathway. And now we're really getting like, how does that fit into who I get to be as a doctor, who I get to be as a transformational coach, who I get to deliver, who and what I get to deliver inside of the Moss method, and helping people who feel like they're stuck and feel like there's something wrong with them, find the other way, find the way through all that mess into a world that actually works. And we do that by transforming the conversation, by really just taking on a new way of being inside of being creative and connected through conversation. And really creating that human resonating harmonic connection. And in that is where we get a more potent dose of healing than anything that modern contemporary psychiatry can bring forth right now. So that's how I spend my life. That's what I'm about. And I'm bringing that message forward to you. And tarot cards was just so aligned. She talked about her relationship with Carl Jung and with her studies of him and her studies also of Joseph Campbell and the archetypes. Carl Jung's actual love for tarot cards, which I wasn't aware of, but it makes a lot of sense. And what he thought about tarot cards and the impact that the archetypes and tarot cards has had on the world since it came to be, which is many years ago. So I learned a lot about the cards, and I think the time is now to consider tarot card reading to be an absolute central part of the healing process. We often have thought that different parts like meditation and yoga were woo at certain times in the past, and now they have become more center stage. I invite you and everyone to think about tarot cards in that same direction. It's just a beautiful way to have our subconscious and our unconscious, as well as our superconscious, take a look of how the world is occurring to us and then make a difference into what we are to learn about who we're being on our route, on our pathway to self-actualization. I'd be very curious about what you think of all this. I'm really glad to have shared it with you tonight. And I invite you to catch the episode of the Tarot Card Reader, which should be out in a few weeks. In the meantime, I'd actually ask you to take a look at The Healthy Healer. That's a podcast we've been doing for the last several months. I think we're almost on episode 100 as far as published, and we've done another 30 or so, 2 a week. I think we're at something like 120 or 130 episodes that are ready to be published in the short near future. So watch The Healthy Healer. It's a pleasure to share with you. And if you like The Healthy Healer or you like this episode, please feel free to or comment or share it with others. And you can also subscribe on Apple Podcasts or iTunes or Spotify or about 15 other places that this podcast is playing. So thanks again. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to catching you on the flip side. Bye for now. I hope you enjoyed this. Be well.